A heavily armed, floating fortress, built by a ruthless cartel in the middle of international waters, was never meant to be found. Bristling with missile pods, radar towers, drones, bays, and even submarine docks, it was more than a base, it was a roaming empire. For years, it controlled the shadows of the ocean, moving money, weapons, and people without leaving a trace. No nation could touch it. No law could reach it. Until one night, the U.S. Navy did the unthinkable. They launched a coordinated assault that turned calm ocean waves into a wall of fire, shattering the myth of invincibility in seconds. But when U.S. forces stepped onto the burning remains, what they discovered inside changed everything about how this war is truly being fought. And this is where the story begins. It started with a blip on a satellite feed, an object the size of a city block moving slowly across open water. At first, analysts thought it was just another decommissioned cargo platform. But when the recon satellite passed again 90 minutes later, it lit up like a warship. Massive radar dishes, missile pods, drone launch racks, fuel tanks buried under steel plating. This wasn't transport, it was firepower disguised as freight. Day -7, initial contact. Recon satellites flagged the structure. Day -3, full threat assessment confirmed. The unthinkable. This was a floating command center built by a cartel. Intelligence aircraft picked up encrypted communications linking the platform to trafficking routes across 3 continents. Hidden submarine docks suggested covert delivery capability. This wasn't just a base, it was a mobile headquarters beyond any border or law. The U.S. Navy Intelligence Division sounded the alarm. If this fortress stayed on the water, it could dominate entire shipping lanes, intercept cargo, even threaten coastal cities. And because it floated in international waters, jurisdiction was a nightmare. Traditional law couldn't touch it. Only force could. Joint Task Force Recon began mapping every inch of its defenses, every antenna, every patrol route, every launch bay. They knew one thing for certain. This platform was designed to survive anything, from storms to governments. So, the Navy made a decision. If the world couldn't reach it, they would. But how do you take down a fortress built to never be found?
72 hours before the strike, the ocean went silent. A Virginia-class submarine slid beneath the waves, running dark, its hull just meters above the seafloor. Its mission, scan the fortress from below and locate any hidden submarine bays. The crew moved in whispers. Sonar painted the platform's underbelly, and what they saw confirmed their fears. Reinforced steel, torpedo-resistant framing. This wasn't just fortified, it was military-grade. Above the surface, the night sky came alive with ghosts. At H-48, RQ-170 Sentinel stealth drones soared in absolute darkness, capturing high-resolution thermal scans. They picked up guard rotations, heat signatures from power cores, even drone bay doors opening and closing. The fortress was awake, always. But seeing wasn't enough. It had to be blinded. Electronic warfare specialists moved into position, slowly testing the edges of the cartel's radar coverage. Each pulse was a surgical strike of data, just enough to measure their response time, not enough to trigger alarms. Every second taught the task force more about how to slip through the cracks. Meanwhile, on a classified base, SEAL Team 6 rehearsed over and over inside full-scale mock-ups built from satellite imagery. Every hallway, every ladder, every blind corner, memorized. They practiced boardings and blackout, underwater insertions, explosive breaches. Finally, command stepped in. Operation Tidal Wrath authorized. No leaks, no politics, no hesitation. From the 200 nautical miles out, the strike group drifted into position. Engines low, radar cold, communications locked to laser-type beams. The ocean held its breath. Can the task force stay invisible before the cartel detects this storm coming? H-2 hours. The first sign of trouble wasn't gunfire. It was water. A sharp-eyed radar operator aboard the floating fortress noticed unusual wake signatures moving just beyond the platform's perimeter. Too slow for cargo ships, too quiet for fishing boats. Something was stalking them. He sounded the alert. Instantly, the fortress came alive. Heavy machine guns rotated into position along the outer decks. Surface-to-air missile launchers unfolded from armored housings. Power surged through the platform as every defensive system roared online. Searchlights swept the waves like blades. For the first time, the fortress looked exactly how it was built to be, a war machine. H-1 hour, the cartel made its move. From the flight deck, armed drones launched into the sky, fast, agile, predatory. Their objective, hunt down whatever was approaching. Thermal sensors scan every ripple. Patrol boats are deployed with engines screaming as they cut across the water in tight formation. On the horizon, U.S. advance teams watched through scopes and periscopes. The stealth window was shrinking by the minute. One wrong move and surprise is gone. Electronic warfare teams attempted to jam radar suites, buying precious seconds, but the fortress was already shifting into full combat readiness. Every weapon was hot. Every sensor was hunting. The task boys faced a brutal choice: hold position and risk detection, or strike early and throw the entire plan off script. Command didn't hesitate. Begin the attack. No countdown, no perfect conditions. The mission just went live in chaos, with surprise collapsing. Will the mission unravel in the first shot?
H0. The ocean lit up like a battlefield. Out of the darkness, FA-18 Super Hornets roared in low, skimming just above the waves to avoid radar. At less than 200 feet altitude, they banked hard, then unleashed precision missiles straight into the fortress's radar towers. In a flash, the sky filled with fire and twisted metal. Simultaneously, from over 500 miles away, Tomahawk cruise missiles arced through the night like burning comets. Guided by satellite, they slammed into command modules with surgical accuracy. The first impact rocked the entire platform. The second tore through its communications core. The third silenced its primary control tower. The fortress was bleeding, but not broken. Cartel gunners scrambled to man heavy machine guns, spraying tracers into the sky. Surface-to-air missiles launched in desperate streaks, trying to lock onto the incoming wave of jets. One Hornet took a near miss, shrapnel ripping across its wing, but stayed in the fight. Beneath the surface, the Virginia-class submarine rose just enough to deploy mini-submersibles. SEAL Team 6 emerged from the water like shadows, heading straight for the underbelly of the fortress. Then the cartel counterattack came. Fast patrol boats surged forward, weapons blazing, only to be cut down by the thunder of a U.S. Navy destroyer. A gnarly Burke-class ship opened fire with 5-inch naval guns, tearing patrol craft apart in seconds. The sea boiled with explosions. Above, a Hornet dropped the J-dam. The bomb struck a fuel depot. The resulting blast shook the ocean. Sections of the fortress collapsed in flames. Towers grumbled. Decks buckled. Smoke poured into the sky like a signal flare announcing the end. The untouchable stronghold was cracking open. But what secrets are still buried inside the burning fortress? The flames were still burning when SEAL Team 6 climbed aboard. The deck groaned under their boots, steel warped by missiles, hoses bursting with steam, alarms still howling in the background. Visibility was nearly zero. Smoke, fire, sparks raining from shredded cables. But their objective was clear. Breach, clear, extract intel, and destroy everything the cartel had built. H+1 hour. The SEALs moved through the corridors, weapons raised, night vision cutting through the haze. They expected resistance, ambushers, last-stand defenders. Instead, they found something worse: organization. The fortress wasn't chaos. It was built like a military base, reinforced doors, tactical choke points, armory rooms stocked with NATO-grade weapons. Then came the first discovery. A command center buried deep within the platform. Multiple screens still glowing. Data feeds from global routes. Financial transfers. Shipping manifests. Encrypted networks linking cartel operations across continents. They pulled hard drives. Ripped entire servers from the walls. Bagging evidence that could dismantle empires. But the deeper they went, the darker it became. Hidden cells, human trafficking victims locked behind steel gates, some scheduled for ransom, others never meant to leave. The SEALs freed them, guiding them to extraction points while pushing further below. H+2 hours. Engineers entered the lower decks and stopped cold. Submarine bays.
full-sized, operational, capable of launching stealth transports beneath coastal defenses. This wasn't just smuggling. It was invasion through the back door of nations. Command didn't hesitate. Plant the charges. C4 along support beams, timer synchronized, every corridor wired to collapse. The fortress wouldn't just fall, it would be erased. As the SEALs prepared to evacuate, one thought hit every operator on the team. If one fortress like this existed, how many more are being built right now?
The destruction of the floating fortress wasn't just a victory, it was a warning to the world. A single cartel had built a naval stronghold capable of controlling shipping lanes, hiding submarines, moving weapons and people across borders without detection, and they nearly got away with it. But the U.S. Navy proved something critical. Even the deepest shadows can be burned away by precision, power, and relentless pursuit. Yet the biggest question remains. If this was only one fortress, who else is building the next one right now? Because this fight isn't over, it's evolving. If you want to see how the Navy responds to the next hidden threat, stay locked in and subscribe for more relentless military stories like this. Speed, intelligence, precision. This is how legends are written.